Start. Dimmed.
Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is BGFH, back for another iOS accessibility video. Up to this point I've shown you guys a little bit of magnification and getting you started in different areas with VoiceOver. And we're going to continue using VoiceOver here, but I want to show you, I do have some additional things that I want to show of apps that are just built in, like Mail and especially Safari for web browsing, and probably a few other things here and there. However, one of the things I do want to cover in this video is using the App Store. One of the things that makes iOS devices really popular, or smartphones in general, I mean even Android, is the number of apps that you can run. So each device, yes, has some built-in apps and features in it. But everywhere you look, online, on TV, radio, wherever, you know, you're always hearing, oh, go to the App Store and download this app. You need to do this? Oh, grab this app. So you're going to expand a lot of your device's functionality by grabbing some of these other apps. And there are a variety of them. I will cover a lot of them in some fashion here on the channel in the future. For now, I'm going to show you how to get some of those apps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my home screen here, which I'm at right now, and I'm going to go to my first home screen because that's where it is on mine.
Page 1 of 4.
And you're going to want to use your, move your finger around the screen or use your swipe gestures to find your App Store icon.
App Store.
And then you're going to want to double tap it to open it, just like we have been doing. So, now that we're in the App Store, you have a few different things. You have a few tabs across the bottom, and many iOS apps do have these tabs. Most of the time, if they do, they're across the bottom, although some developers decide to mix it up and put them up near the top. But you have, I'm going to
Featured tab.
Double tap there. So we have, I'm going to go from left to right, we have the Featured tab. This is where Apple will highlight, new apps. Maybe there's some holiday apps during holiday season. We're getting back to school time is coming up here pretty quick, so there's already some areas on, back to school and productivity style apps. So, you're going to find different suggestions and, what's new there. It is kind of an irregular, screen. A lot of the windows are, so again, you just kind of have to practice your navigation, moving your finger around the screen to see what's under there.
J24 iPhone, Blood Mask, Games, 6 Games. Button.
I'm just moving my finger around, and I can do my flick left and right gesture.
Game of War, 5 Ridiculous Fishing, A Tale of Redemption.
I still got to get that one.
$2.99. Bill Guard, Track Spending, Save Money, Finance, Free. Ridiculous Fishing, A Tale of Redemption.
I've heard a lot about that one actually online, but that sounds just like a weird game. But anyway, so that gives you an idea of that's just your main here, here's the featured apps area. So if I go to the right to the next tab,
Top Charts.
Top Charts, not going to spend a whole lot of time in here either, but basically what you have here, you have a few different categories. You've got your, your top paid apps, your top free apps, and then your top grossing apps, so which apps are currently making the most money in the store right now. And again, I can just move my finger around.
1J24i.
Paid.
Level 2. 1J24 iPhone. 2. Where's My Mickey? 3. Smart Alarm Clock. Sleep Cycle.
So you got some different paid ones.
Free. 1. Despicable Me. Minion Rock. 2. Buzz Darby. Games. 3. Candy Crush Saga. Games.
So, you get the idea. And again, just, you can use your Explorer or your flick left and right gesture to kind of go through things in order so you don't miss anything. And I will teach you another technique in a later video, especially when we get to the internet, which can come in handy not just on the internet, but in a lot of places, called the Item Chooser, and we'll get to that in another video. The next tab is Genius. Now, I don't really use this one much, and I'm not going to go there this time because sometimes I do have a problem when I go there. My App Store crashes for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But basically what the Genius tab does is it looks at the features, or it looks at the apps that you have installed or that are associated with your iTunes account, and then makes app recommendations based on those apps. So, you have a whole bunch of these productivity apps, maybe you'd like this. You have a whole bunch of different types of games, okay, well maybe you like these games, that kind of thing. So the next tab,
Search tab, 4 of 5.
Search tab. Here is where I spend a lot of my time in the App Store because I'm always searching for new specific apps that I hear about at different places, and you will probably do the same. So right now I'm actually in a search result area because I was actually looking at a game here, Jetpack Joyride.
Offers in-app purchases. Halfbrick Studios, Jetpack Joyride.
So we're on this results page. This is a good example of a, before I hit, there's a back button in the upper left where I can actually go back and do the search. But while I'm here, this is a good example of what a actual app's page looks like. So at the top you've got your app name, your developer, your rating, a couple other tidbits of information. Then you have a button.
Open, Jetpack Joyride, button.
Now mine says open because I already have it, I've already purchased it, and it's already installed. If you didn't have it already downloaded or already installed, you could, there would be a free button there, or there would be a, $1.99 button or 99 cents button. You double tap that and it'll transform into basically a buy now or install now button. You double tap that again and boom, you're in business. And it'll ask you for your Apple password that's associated with your Apple ID account, and you give your password and it'll download it and install it for you. And below that you've got
selected details tab.
Details going across. We kind of have, see, this is where you get other tabs in here now. So you have details,
reviews, related tab.
Reviews are related, and those are just what it sounds like. You have your details for the actual, description of your app. You have your reviews, which are user reviews that you can read or submit your own if you already own the app. And your related are apps that are similar or that people also like compared to the app that you're looking at. So we're on the Details tab right now.
Selected. Details.
I'm going to use my three-finger flick-up gesture to scroll the page up a little bit here.
Page 2 of 8.
And there's a command or two that I don't know if I've actually covered in the videos, so I'm going to cover them quickly again here. When I touch this first paragraph,
you're going for a ride from the creators of Fruit Ninja, now updated to...
I'm going to tap the screen once with 2 fingers, and that's kind of the universal be quiet voiceover, shut up command. So anytime it's blabbing and you want it to be quiet, just do that single tap with 2 fingers and it'll shut up. If I want, now that I'm on that paragraph, if I want to read, I don't want to keep manually moving my finger on the screen, I just want it to read, when I can do that in email, internet, app store, a lot of different places, anywhere that there's a huge body of text. I can take those same 2 fingers and I can swipe down.
You're going for a ride from the creators of Fruit Ninja, now updated to support the beautiful Retina display for the new iPad. Star winner star Apple Design Award 2012
and
Pocket Gamer Best Action / Arcade Game 2012 Pocket Gamer iPhone / iPod.
And I hit the 2-finger tap once and to make it be quiet. So it would have just kept reading until it hits the end of the page. Now I am in the actual app entry. I'm going to go up to the upper left of the screen really quick.
Search back button.
And I'm going to hit the back button. Here's where your actual search page is. Now, when you're doing a search, you have a search field at the top, and I could search for something else. I just double tap the search field and then enter my search term. And you have kind of the same or a similar layout as you do on the app screen itself, except for you don't have like the categories of like reviews and related and whatever across the top. Instead, you've got a big screenshot in the middle of the screen.
One, image.
Now below that, you actually have
Jetpack Joyride, 1 of 38, adjustable. Swipe up or down with 1 finger to adjust the value.
So it says to swipe up or down with 1 finger to adjust the value. This is actually how you have to navigate the results on your search page. So if I flick up,
Alpha Genius tab 3 of 5.
Oh, quit
Alpha
it.
Jetpack X Jetpig Joyride Genius tab 3 of 5.
For whatever reason, I don't know. It must be some goofy thing in the App Store lately or something. But normally when I flick up or down, I have no problem. But for whatever reason, it's deciding to, when I flick up, it does what it's supposed to, but then it jumps down to the Genius tab for some unknown reason. But you don't use your 3-finger flick to, move the screen like you think you would. You use your up and down gesture, but you have to be on that lower part of the screen right below your screenshot. So that's one thing I did want to cover. Your last tab in the App Store is Updates. There are a couple things I want to point out here really quickly. This is also where I do a lot in the App Store because apps are frequently updated. So I don't have any here right now because
all apps are up to date.
All apps are up to date. If I did, they would be listed down the screen, and there are update buttons on the right hand side that I can flick to or find just by moving my finger around again. And each app also has a link that says what's new, and those are very useful links, and I'll get to that. I'll get to why in just a second. It's not on the screen right now because there's no apps, but if there were app updates available, multiple app updates available, up in this area
Updates.
Up here near the top of the screen, there in the upper right would be an Update All button, and that would actually do just what it says, update all the apps at once. A lot quicker way to get update everything at once. However, there is a caution I would warn you about when doing that. And that ties into the what's new little link I just mentioned in each app. Before I cover that real quick, I just want to check how we're doing on time.
Page 2 of 4. XRAC.
Okay,
ready.
We're good. So I can finish. We'll wrap up this video here, but I do want to give you one little cautionary warning about doing the update all. So when I said that each app in the listing has a what's new link, I highly recommend viewing those, especially for apps that you use often. And here's why. Because, like I said, these apps are updated oftentimes on a fairly, if not really regular basis. And what'll happen is they'll come out with a new version, and they'll sometimes change the interface or change how something works in the app, or they'll do a real big overhaul design of the app. And it's happened multiple times where I've had an app that has worked beautifully, accessibility-wise, with VoiceOver, and lo and behold, I see in the what's new area that they said, oh, we've totally redesigned the interface, or all new look, or whatever it happens to be. And lo and behold, that happened to completely break VoiceOver accessibility. So like I said, especially if it's an app that you use on a regular basis, you may be a little cautious about that and figure out what exactly they are updating. And if they do break the app, kindly, email, don't, go off on a rampage, but, email the developer and say, hey, I love this app, I use it, I bought it, whatever. But in your recent update, you kind of broke the accessibility, and maybe you should, send them a link to the Apple accessibility area. But that's why I would recommend sometimes, and most of the time I will just do the update all, but there are times where, especially, there's been a few apps, like I said, that I will definitely want to make sure to not update those. Or maybe you hear somewhere, like on the AppleVis website, which I've mentioned elsewhere, that people say, oh, well, this recent update broke the app. Okay, well, then I'll hold off until I hear that it's been fixed and not update that. So that's just a cautionary little warning or note on the updates area. But that'll wrap up this video covering the App Store, and hope you guys found it useful. And like I said, just experiment with it a little bit on your own, but that should give you a good start as to kind of how to get around a little bit and what's there and what you can do. Until next time, I will talk to you guys later.
Stop.